Guys, you see how my racket is closed in the beginning stage of my serve, how my wrist is slightly extended? You definitely should never do this. Now you're probably asking yourself, why not, Nick? Isn't this the beginning stage of serve? It doesn't matter because that racket can go up into the trophy position and the wrist can straighten out back here. I think this is quite problematic because some players that have this position of the racket in the beginning stage of the serve have their wrist slightly extended and they maintain an extended position into the trophy phase, and that is a big problem because you don't want your racket to be on the inside of your body. You want it on the outside of the body because having the racket on this side will increase the range of motion. So some recreational players that have this position on their serve prior to starting the service motion will have problems later on the serve because the wrist is extended. So what you should do is have the racket at least neutral. A lot of elite level players have a neutral position of the racket face in the beginning stage of the serve, because from here, as we go up into the trophy position, the wrist is also going to be in a more neutral position. And from here, you will have more range of motion because the racket is on the hitting side of your body, and as you drop it, you get a little bit more power because of that. Now, some players like Milos Raonic will have a flex position of the wrist, meaning the wrist will flex and naturally the strings will open up because of that. And this is also a good style to copy because what will naturally happen on a serve like this is that as you go up into the trophy phase, the wrist will most likely continue to be flexed. Now, is having a neutral position of the racket face or an open position of the racket face in the beginning stage of the serve a guarantee that the wrist will be in the correct position later on? Absolutely not. This is not a guarantee at all, but it doesn't hurt to set the wrist in the correct position prior to getting to the trophy phase. Yes, some recreational players will open the racket face, and despite an open racket face, they will still open up the wrist and then end up with a waiter serve. There's no doubt that this will happen to some players, but like I said in the beginning, it doesn't hurt at all to give yourself the best chance of having a correct position of the racket in the trophy phase and also a correct racket drop by setting the wrist in either a neutral position prior to starting your serve or having the wrist flexed, opening the racket face prior. This is something that I personally do. I've always had my racket a little bit more open prior to the serve. This is something that suits me, and as I go up into my trophy phase, my racket is always on the hitting side, and there's many elite level players who have this exact style. And don't ever close the strings when you're starting your serve. Not only can this lead to problems, but also as far as optics are concerned, this looks really ugly, and there's not one high-level tennis player that will close the racket face prior to starting their serve. All players will be at least neutral, and like I said in the beginning, some will even be open when they start their serve, and naturally they will achieve a correct position of the wrist and the racket face in the trophy phase.